Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yo ubhante viditvana majjhe manta na lippati tam brumi mahapurisoti sodhasibbani macchagati. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all know, we have selected Majjhe Sutta as the theme of this virtual retreat. Majjhe Sutta is available in Anguttara Nikaya, where numerical discourses are included, and in this particular sutta is available in the 6th Nipata, where 6 factors or 6 clauses, 6 facts are being discussed. So if we pay attention to the course of this discourse, at one location Buddha and the Sangha was staying at Varanasi in Migadaya, where Buddha actually has conducted his first sermon, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So it seems like same place Buddha and the Sangha was associating after some time. So at that time there seems to be a circular pavilion, and during the evening time some elder monks have get together and they want to discuss some Dhamma, some deep Dhamma in a way. Now this Dhamma actually is based on some kind of a verse that Buddha has preached to one of the Brahmin youth called Tissametteya. So as you know, during the first era of the Buddha, it seems that there are many wise Brahmins approached Buddha asking various questions, and such incident is very beautifully mentioned, recorded in the Parayana Vagga. Parayana Vagga is available in Sutta Nipata, fairly deep and profound Dhamma being mentioned or included, and Parayana literally means going beyond. So basically it's kind of talking about going beyond or transcending the samsara. So they are very learned Brahmins are approaching the Buddha and asking questions. So at this particular time, a Brahmin youth called Tissametteya is asking his question using his mind. Now Buddha reads his question using Buddha's powers, omniscient powers, and now Buddha is answering the question verbally. So this is the kind of a beautiful dialogue. The questioner, Tissametteya, is asking the question through his mind. He is thinking about the question, and Buddha reads his mind and understands the question, and accordingly he preaches the Dhamma, gives the answer verbally. So this is how this particular verse being uttered by the Buddha. So in this verse, what you call available and recorded in the Sutta Nipata, if we recall the verse, Yo ubhante viditvana majjhe manta na lippati. Literally means, if one knows the both ends, having understood both ends, majjhe manta na lippati, the wise person does not even stick to the middle. Tam brumi mahapurisoti, and to him I call a great man. So the sibbani macchaga. So that person here has transcended the seamstress. Now this is the kind of a verse Buddha has preached to this Brahmin youth, and now this somehow get to know by these elder monks, and now they want to properly know or clearly know what Buddha has meant by each of these clauses. Now in this verse there are several clauses that we need to clarify, several terms that we need to clarify. It's something like a riddle. Yo ubhante viditvana. So one has to know both ends. So what are these both ends? Majjhe manta na lippati. The wise one does not stick in the middle. So what is this middle? Tam brumi mahapurisoti. To him I call a great person, great man. So is the sibbani majjaga. So he has transcended the seamstress. So who is this seamstress? So these are the questions that they want to clarify. Now one elder monk give his answer and another elder monk give his answer. So likewise, there are 6 answers being given in this Majjhe Sutta. So we are going one after the other, and yesterday we discussed one answer. So that is the both ends. One end is the past and the other end is the future. Those are the both ends. We can say sort of the extremes. And the middle is the present moment. Middle is the Pachuppanna, the present moment. And Sibbani, seamstress, is the craving. Now this is not difficult to understand in a way, so we all can understand that our minds typically associate past and the future because there are various incidents has happened in the past, and they may be really joyful and even sometimes sorrowful, but still our mind go and associate with them. So mind follows those memories and linger with those and memorizes them, and likewise mind likes to stay with those memories. On the other hand, there are various future plans, wishes, and all those are also very attractive, fascinating, and therefore mind again go and think about the future, plan about the future, and even get lost in the future. So now this seamstress craving, what it does is that continuously this past and the future being stitched together, sewed together, because there is no time for the person to think something else. Constantly from past to future, future to past, past to future, future to past, constantly it is jumping. It's very much like you are stitching a cloth. 2 clothes are there and you are one plier to the other plier you are stitching. Similarly, past and future being stitched together just because of this craving. So constantly there are some interesting things happen in the past, and again there are things going to happen in the future, so we are anticipated to them. As a result, we are being driven by craving, so we constantly forget the present moment and we always attach to either to the past or to the future. Now this is the function of the craving. Now in this answer we can understand that we need to let go of the past and the future, and again we have to establish our attention in the present moment, and even there is a condition to meet. That is, he does not even stick in the middle. Now even though he is able to let go the past and the future, still if one is attached to the present moment, still one is not completed his task. Now this is where the vipassana and mindfulness practice is really helpful, that in order to recognize the present moment, establish mindfulness in the present moment, so we are using many mindfulness techniques. So once well established in the present moment, now we need to properly know what is happening in the present moment. What are the present moment characteristics, present moment phenomena, and what is their behavior. So likewise we are now trying to properly investigate the present moment phenomena so that our mind does not attach to the present moment phenomena, does not cling to the present moment phenomena. So that is how we are sort of building the intelligence or building the wisdom so that the grasping may be slowly reduced and ultimately mind become free from the present moment phenomena. So that is the clause. It says the wise one does not even stick in the middle. He has recognized the middle, and now as a result of wisdom, now he is not even stick to the middle. And if one is able to maintain such a freedom, he is not attached to the past nor to the future, and even he has let go of the present moment and completely mindful, and to him Buddha say is a great person. Now this is one of the answers given by one elder monk. Now after this answer, there is another alternative answer given by another monk. So let's take the third answer, that in this elder monk says one end is the present feeling and the other end is the painful feeling. The middle is the neutral feeling. So both ends are pleasant feeling and the painful feeling. Those are the two ends. So what is in the middle? Middle is the neutral feeling. Neither painful nor pleasant feeling. That is a neutral feeling. Now this is also not that difficult to understand. Now typically our mind really likes to attach with some pleasant feeling. Whenever due to certain causes, when we feel happy, we like to enjoy it. We constantly being driven towards happiness. Constantly being driven towards the pleasurable things. So that is our typical pleasure principle. As much as possible, we like to see beautiful sceneries, to listen to beautiful music, to smell some fragrance, and to taste some delicious food, and to have some, say, comfortable sensations, and even to think some beautiful things, imaginations. Now this is how we constantly being driven to this pleasant side, the positive side, the attractive side. So we are, as human beings, particularly in this sensual world, we are being driven based on this pleasure principle. Constantly we are going after some kind of happiness, some kind of gratification, and one after the other. Suppose you are watching a TV, so suppose there's a kind of a cartoon going on, and if you are not happy about it, you can change the channel now and go to another channel, and now you may be watching a movie. If that is feel bored, now suppose you are changing another channel. Now you are watching another sort of sports activity. Suppose you are bored about that, now you change another channel. Now it may be a comedy. Now you are watching it, enjoying it. After some time you feel, now I better look the news. Now you are watching a news channel. So likewise, our mind being constantly jumping from one after the other, which is sort of giving us some sort of a gratification, some sort of a happiness. Constantly we are now being pleasure driven, and we are trying to satisfy our senses as much as possible. So that is, to that person we call a rich person, who can satisfy their senses as much as they like. So we call him a rich person. Now unfortunately we can't continuously have pleasant feelings, pleasurable feelings. We inevitably have to face some painful feelings as well. Now what happens when one go through some painful feelings? He either cursed to another person, he really depressed because of this pain, or he thinks that it is happening only to him, everyone is completely free. So he says that I am a poor person, I am such and such a person, so I am really suffering. So likewise he is sort of getting to sort of a sorrowful state, depressive state, and he is adding a lot just because of this attitude. Painful feeling may be kind of a bodily painful feeling, but unfortunately he is adding on top of that very huge amount of mental agony or mental pain onto this physical pain. Now Buddha says that physical pain is like a hit by an arrow, and the mental pain is another arrow hit into the same place. So it's so painful because not only the physical pain, now you have mental pain on top of that. So this is the typical approach of a human being. So when there is some kind of a pain arising in the body, now he immediately wants to get rid of it. If it doesn't happen, he is struggling with it, and even sort of putting the problem to the outside, cursing others, and even sort of cursing himself, and very much like he is adding more and more trouble to this existing problem. Now that is where, in a way, we are inviting certain defilements. This physical pain is one thing, but unfortunately, when we are not mindful, we are constantly fighting on that, constantly being averse to that. As a result, this Patigahanusaya, the latent tendency towards the aversion, is being strengthened. Whenever a typical person is going through some kind of a sorrow, some kind of an unhappiness, because of his negligence, he is adding more and more defilements so that his latent tendencies become more and more stronger. And on the other hand, when one is going through some pleasurable feeling, he really likes it, he welcomes it, and again he wants to enjoy it, he wants to grasp it, he cling to it. As a result, he is indulging on it, and as a result, again he is inviting defilements, he is strengthening defilements, what you call as Kamasava or Raganusaya, one is promoting. Suppose you are listening to certain music and it is really enjoyable, and you are really enjoying, you are really in a sort of you have closed your eyes, you are listening to it and very attentive, and now you are dreaming in a fantasy world. So likewise, completely you have lost the present moment in an entirely different world, mind-made illusion, and completely deluded, and now you are promoting avijjanusaya. Again you are promoting this raganusaya, promoting lust, promoting the greed. So likewise, when we consider typical person, when he is going through some pain, he is again promoting certain patigahanusaya, this aversion, and on the other hand, when he is going through some pleasurable feeling, he is promoting patigahanusaya, that is when he is going through some pleasurable feeling, he is promoting raganusaya, that is the lust. Now, most of the time actually people are going through some neutral feelings. Basically, they are ignorant on that. So they feel it as quite boring, monotony. And as a result, they are completely ignorant about that neutral feeling. So such neutral feelings are promoting ignorance, avijjanusaya. So that is another latent tendency. So we are, in a way, whenever we are experiencing any of these feeling tones, unfortunately we are promoting any or kind of respective latent tendency. As I mentioned, when you are enjoying certain pleasure, then you are sort of promoting lust or greed, raganusaya. When you are going through some painful feeling, when you are struggling with it, you are hating it, rejecting it, now you are promoting patigahanusaya, that is the latent tendency of the aversion. And when the mind and the body is going through most of the time some neutral feelings, and you are unaware of that, you are simply ignorant on that, as a result you are promoting avijjanusaya, the ignorance. Now therefore we can understand, now every day we definitely have to go through any of these feelings. So these are the three main categories of feelings, and we can understand whenever we are going through any of these feelings, every day we have to go through this any type of feeling. And if we are not mindful, if we are not haven't trained our mind, constantly we are promoting certain type of defilements. But there is one important thing I have to include here. Not all pleasurable feelings promoting raganusaya. Not all pleasurable feelings promoting any sort of a lust or greed. There are some pleasurable feelings, they are not promoting lust or greed. Say for example, you are meditating and you are now have closed your eyes. You are in a very silent place. Your mouth is closed and there is no any sort of a fragrance. So basically, the typical 5 chords of sense pleasures are absent. Because your eyes closed, there is no sound, no smells. You are not chewing or tasting anything. So likewise, basically, your 5 senses are very much like closed. They are in inactive mode. But still, your mind may be really blissful. Suppose you are going through a very good meditation session, and now you feel like floating, really beautiful, really pleasant, and mind seems uplifted, extremely blissful. Now this is also a very high level of pleasure in a way, but this is not the typical worldly pleasure, but this is a sort of unworldly type of pleasure. Sometimes we call as niramisa piti. This is not connected to the typical worldly type of pleasure, but rather this is a type of pleasure that you can enjoy only when your mind is free from hindrances, when your mind is free from lust, greed, hatred, aversion. So then only you can enjoy this kind of an unworldly type of pleasure. And this type of pleasure does not promote raganusaya, does not promote lust or greed. So that is some good news for the meditators. So you can actually enjoy some amount of pleasure, bliss, if it is coming through on your way through meditation. But small thing to add here is that it may not contribute much towards the wisdom, but only it's a kind of a temporary satisfaction, temporary happiness you can actually gain while continuing your practice. And on the other hand, there are certain types of domanassa, certain types of sorrow, which also does not contribute towards the patigahanusaya, contributes towards the what you call averse or anger in our mind. Say for example, you are quite enthusiastic and you want to attain Nibbana, you want to become a Sotapanna, you want to enjoy sort of a blissful state, but still you are not in a position to have it. You are not in a position to enjoy such. But your mind is constantly asking, when I can enjoy such a bliss, when I can enjoy such an unworldly peace, such a very profound understanding, when I can have such profound understanding. So likewise your mind is sort of anticipating about that. Such a very beautiful, profound understanding. But still, since you are not able to achieve it, you have some sort of a domanassa, some sort of an unhappiness. So this unhappiness, it is said, does not promote kind of a patigahanusaya or aversion, because your aim is not that to get rid of the existing kind of an unhappiness, existing kind of a pain, but rather you are sort of anticipating something sublime. Since you are not enjoying it at the moment, that you are now in a little unhappiness. So therefore in this what you call as nekkammasita domanassa, the kind of a renunciative type of unhappiness does not promote patigahanusaya, does not promote aversion in the mind. And there is another example I can say. There are certain other types of absorptions, deep concentrations. They are utterly neutral. They are utterly equanimous. And such neutral, equanimous type of concentrations also does not promote any kind of ignorance. As you know, if we are simply ignorant about the neutral feeling, so then we are in a way promoting ignorance, promoting avijjanusaya. But on the other hand, when your mind is completely equanimous, by going through some sort of an understanding, by going through maybe vipassana practice, or maybe going through some satipatthana practice, mindfulness practice, your mind is completely, say, neutral. But at that time, the beauty is your mind is utterly wakeful. You are awakened. You are mindful. As a result, there is no possibility of ignorance to arise. So therefore, we can say only a certain category of neutral feelings have the tendency to promote ignorance, and there are other types who does not promote ignorance. On the other hand, one can promote wisdom instead of ignorance. Now, when it is coming to this kind of analysis, actually Vedanānupassana is one of the key meditation technique that we are using to understand various types of feelings and their behavior. Say for example, you are practicing Anapanasati in order to build some amount of concentration, and now automatically, suppose there are certain types of feelings available in your body. It could be even pleasurable feelings. Say you are quite successful in Anapanasati, your mind has fairly calmed down, breath has calmed down, it has become subtle. Now certain waves types of pleasure is arising. Kind of massaging kind of pleasures are arising in the body. It is quite pleasurable. Now one can look at these pleasurable feelings objectively rather than sort of trying to grasp them. Now you can step back and look at them objectively. So this is where one type of Vedananupassana, where you are able to directly feel or directly understand feelings. Vedananupassana. Again and again one directly understands feelings, various types of feelings. Now in this case, in this example, we have taken the pleasurable feelings. So whenever a pleasurable feeling arises, are we able to step back and observe it objectively? So this is quite important. Typically we don't have that capacity. We immediately grasp the pleasurable feeling, immediately want to have more and more, immediately want it in the future as well. Immediately we start to daydream. So that is sort of a grasping happens to this pleasurable feeling. Instead of that, so we need to step back and look at pleasurable feeling as a pleasurable feeling. So then we are in a good position. Similarly, when painful feeling arises, we have to do the same approach. We have to take the same approach rather than sort of being aversive towards that. We should be able to step back and watch this painful feeling as painful feeling. So we are very much like establish mindfulness, and while being in this mindfulness base, mindfulness island, now we have the capacity to watch painful feeling as painful feeling. Painful feeling in a way, in an objective manner, we can observe it. Similarly, when there is any sort of a neutral feeling, say you are going through some neutral feelings throughout the body, maybe little vibrations, rising and falling of the abdomen, even in-breath and out-breath, tingling sensations, heart vibration. So all these are mostly neutral feelings. So you can use these neutral feelings to awaken to the present moment, because these feelings actually happen in the present moment. They don't have the capacity to happen in the past or the future. They are utterly present. So if you are able to establish mindfulness on these feelings, that indicates you have sort of let go of the past and the future, and you are able to recognize the present feelings. Now, typically what happens is we are constantly being driven to the pleasurable feelings, to the painful feeling. Suppose you are enjoying some pleasurable feeling. When you feel boring, so that means some sort of say pain. Now again you are seeking or searching something pleasurable. Again you are jumping to something pleasurable. Again, suppose you feel bored, you feel unsatisfied. That is, again you have shifted to the pain. Again now you are seeking some pleasure. Assume that you are enjoying it. After some time again it feels bored. Again now you are seeking some sort of a pleasure. So likewise, we are being in a way driven by craving. So craving similarly is actually sewing pleasure and the pain. So we are constantly being jumping from pleasure to pain, pain to pleasure, pleasure to pain, pain to pleasure. It's like stitching. Constantly we are being driven to pleasure and pain. Whenever pleasure arises, we want to grasp it, we want to have it, we want to own it. Whenever pain arises, we want to get rid of it immediately. So this is the type of approach that typically we have. But when you are practicing, you are in a good position, in a better position to understand pleasurable feeling as pleasurable feeling, painful feeling as painful feeling, neutral feeling as neutral feeling. So this is the important thing. Now you are not being carried away by any of them, you are not driven by them, and you are not ignorant of them, and you are well aware of them, and you even have the capacity to recognize them. Whether it is painful or pleasurable or neutral, you have the capacity to recognize. Now when you are able to recognize that, so now you can even closely examine it, investigate it. then probably you can even understand. So even though it appears like single feeling, it is not. There are sort of many feelings get together, appear like a single feeling. Say for example, you are watching a pleasurable feeling. More closely you observe it, you may understand it is a kind of a collection of minute type of feelings. Each one constantly arise and pass away. Each minute feeling is completely transient. Now, here even the pleasurable feeling, when you are observing very closely, you will understand it is not a single pleasurable feeling, it's a collection of feelings, and each one of them are coming and going, switching on and off. They are completely transient. How can I expect lasting happiness from this kind of a transient, impermanent nature? Then probably you can understand it is not possible. So even though it appears like pleasurable, so this pleasure is actually very, very vulnerable, very transient, very temporary, because it is constantly subject to change. So you can't depend on it. You can't expect lasting happiness from such kind of a situation, because you never know when it is going to change. Therefore, you will understand the unsatisfactory nature. And again, you will understand that this whole thing going to happen beyond your control. You don't have any control to this whole incident. It is happening due to causes, and when causes are changing, the result also changing. Actually, if you closely watch these feelings, probably you have the capacity to recognize its cause as well. Actually, Vedananupasana is one of the key area in order to recognize idappaccheta, the principle of dependability, or the principle of dependent origination. This causes that, or this causes this. Because of this, that also arise, or with the arising of this, that also arise. When this is not available, that also not available. As this passes away, that also passes away. So there's a kind of an interdependence. So here, Buddha says, Passa Paccha Vedana, the contact causes feeling. Actually, this is not that difficult to understand. Say you are in a walking session. When your attention is properly established, your mindfulness is well established, you can recognize various types of feelings. Maybe at the beginning you may understood various element characteristics, but as you move forward, now suppose you are not that interested about various characteristics, rather you understood they are all neutral feelings. So this is another type of understanding. So now you are not looking at in an element angle, but you are looking at in a feeling angle. Now we are dealing with the second aggregate, Vedana Khandha. So there you will understand. So each of these feelings are conditioned when a contact happens. When your left foot touching the ground, so that is the contact. Contact causes some type of feeling. So that usually maybe at this situation, it may be, suppose, a neutral feeling. Suppose you really like some sunshine and you are now walking in a shiny area. At that time, suppose your leg is touching the ground. Now you feel quite comfortable. It's a kind of a happy feeling. When it is touching, it has the capacity to produce happy feeling. Suppose unfortunately your leg go and hit on a stone. Now that is the contact, and it has conditioned, or it has caused a painful feeling. So likewise, even in simple terms, we can understand. So this contact causes feeling. On the other hand, if you are able to very closely observe the arising of feelings even throughout the body, you may be able to understand how some kind of a contact internally happens that produces this kind of a feeling. There are types of contact which are conducive to produce pleasurable feeling. Due to that, it produces pleasurable feeling. There are type of contact conducive to produce neutral feeling, and their neutral feelings arise. There are some kind of contacts, they have the capacity to produce painful feelings. So in order, they produce painful feelings. So likewise, contact causes feeling. Now this is one hinge or one kind of a link that you can understand. If you are able to closely understand this, so there you will understand, so none of them are sort of automatically arise, rather there are certain causes behind them. Because of contact, the corresponding type of feeling arising. So that gives us some sort of a understanding in the mind towards the cause and effect relationship. There is no person here, there is no being or individual here. Contact causes feeling. There is no I going through pain. There is no I going through some sorrow, lamentation. There is no I person going through some pressure. Rather, contact causes pleasure. Contact causes pain. Contact causes neutral feeling. So likewise, you can understand the whole experience more in a wise manner, where whenever any type of feeling arises, that has the link towards the corresponding contact. Contact causes feeling. Now, if one is again and again observing all these, so there are a lot of wisdom going to be arise in one's mind. One's clear comprehension improve, sampajanya going to improve, because one is closely observing this whole picture, and he understands there is no single pain or pleasure, rather it's a kind of a collection of pains, minute type of pain or minute types of pleasurable feelings. So even the compactness view is going to be broken. So constantly, very much like minute type of feelings are constantly arising and passing away. The whole body is subjected to this kind of arising and passing away of minute types of feelings. Constantly, as you know, our body is subject to this kind of different types of feelings, and they have the nature to arise and pass away. So this is a kind of a profound understanding. More and more available, more and more you observe the body. And even this is possible when you are observing the mind. You may be enjoying some kind of happiness, some kind of a joy, enjoyment. So all these are all coming and going. You can't continuously be happy. You can't continuously be sorrow as well. If you are able to step back and watch it, you will understand. So this is coming and going. They have the nature to arise and pass away. So this distant observation is one of the important things. So here also we are understanding various types of feelings are there. Rather than grasping them or hating them, we should be developed that to observe disengaged, or we can observe them in a distant manner, unassociated manner, kind of an unattached, distant observation is possible. So Buddha beautifully says, Sukhanche vedanang vediyati visanyutto tang vediyati. Whenever one is going through some pleasurable feeling, one does not promote any kind of defilement. One has the capacity to observe it distantly. Dukkhanche vedanang vediyati visanyutto tang vediyati. Whenever one is going through some painful feeling, again one has the capacity to observe it separately, free from it, so that there are no defilements going to arise. Adukkama sukhanche vedanang vediyati visanyutto tang vediyati. Whenever one is going through some neutral feelings, there also one has the capacity to observe them objectively, kind of a distant observation, so that there are no new defilements going to arise. So this actually promotes vipassana. This actually promotes insights. So therefore Buddha says, Sukhanche vedanang vediyati sa anicchati pajanati. So one will understand, even though these pleasurable feelings are available, they don't have the capacity to stay longer. They come and go. They have the nature to come and go. They are quite transient. Anajjositati pajanati. So Buddha says, there is no need of grasping them. There is no need of holding them. So then one will understand, so I am now not holding them. There are pleasurable feelings come and go, Now I have the capacity to observe them objectively without grasping them. Now one will understand. Now as a result of one's practice, now one have that understanding. Whenever pleasurable feelings are arising, I can do kind of a distant observation without attaching to them. Anabhinanditati pajanati. One is not really sort of grasping them or really enjoy them, elated by them. Rather, you are able to observe them objectively. You see them as it is. The same approach is done towards the painful feeling. Whenever painful feeling arises, you are not being aversive to it. Rather, you can observe it at a distant place. You are in a mindful island. You are observing various painful waves are going through in the body. Say, there may be sort of sorrow arising in the mind. You have the capacity to watch it objectively. So this way, more and more you are now detached from pain. More and more you are now detached from pleasure, detached from neutral feelings. So this actually promotes dispassion. This actually promotes disenchantment. You are not grasping now. Slowly, you may even cannot recognize whether it is pleasurable, neutral or feeling, but you can recognize a kind of a feeling is there. Now you don't need to distinctly recognize the type of feeling, but rather you can sort of vaguely understand there's a kind of a feeling, but it has the nature to come and go. It has the nature to on and off. It has a nature to arise and pass away. So this is fairly a refined state of mind where you don't know the exact location of the feeling or even exact type of feeling, but you only know there is any kind of a feeling, but they have the nature to arise and pass away. So when one is developing such kind of a understanding, so mind may completely let go of the feelings. So mind can become completely free. Now you are utterly in the present moment. You are not attached to the present moment feelings as well. Now one can say, you are not attached to the pleasurable feelings, you are not attached to the painful feelings, and you are not even attached to the neutral feelings. Your mind is completely free from attachment. So there we can say he is a great person. There we can say a great man. So you can see, even in this situation, this Vedananupassana actually giving us a lot of understanding about this conditionality, Patisamuppada. And not only that, it is giving a lot of understanding about various insights, particularly the impermanent nature of the feelings, unsatisfactory nature of the feelings, and even the non-governability, non-self. Now, as a result, your mind becomes more and more wise. So, even when a pleasurable feeling happens, now you are not hurried to grasp it. Even when a painful feeling happens, you are not hurried to reject it. So you have now kind of an endurance to go through even a painful feeling with an undisturbed mind. You have now kind of a neutral attitude even to go through some pleasurable feeling, because your mind is fairly established. Your mind has found its kind of a solace, kind of a island, kind of a we can say kind of a undisturbed area. While being there, you can observe any kind of feelings coming and going. So this is how we are sort of releasing from suffering, releasing from defilements. And Buddha says, if one is operating like this, if one is practicing like this, slowly those latent tendencies are going to disappear. Say for example, you are going through some pleasurable feeling, but now you have the capacity to step back and looking at it objectively. You are not grasping it. As a result, the potential raganusaya, the lust, going to be decreased, because you are not promoting it, you are not grasping it. Rather, you are objectively, mindfully looking at it. So you are now diluting that lustful tendency. Similarly, suppose you are going through some painful feeling. Now you are not rejecting it. You have good endurance. You are observing it objectively, and even probably you can understand how impermanent this painful feeling. As a result, you are not promoting any kind of aversion, any kind of patighahanusaya. And similarly, when you are observing neutral feelings, you know very well when they come and when they go, how their behavior. So you are not ignorant of them, rather you are quite vigilant of them. As a result, you are not promoting avijjanusaya, ignorance. So likewise, this Vedananupassana, one of the very interesting and quite strong meditation practice, where you are able to even dilute various types of defilements and to completely uproot various types of defilements. Now, therefore, even many kinds of meditation schools give more prominence to Vedananupassana, and they consider this is one of the easy way of understanding one's emotions, because whenever the mind is going through certain type of emotion, so it has some corresponding changes happen in the body, happen in the feeling tone. So if you don't have capacity to directly observe the mind, then another alternative method is to observe the bodily feelings. Say, for example, you are going through some pleasurable feeling, kind of a happiness in the mind, quite happy. As a result, there's kind of a sensations arising in the body. Maybe your heart vibration has increased, you are getting some goosebumps. So likewise, certain characteristics or signs are there in the body. So you can observe those signs available in the body. Now you are not grasping that pleasurable feeling. Instead, you are watching certain outcome of that pleasurable feeling. As a result, that pleasurable feeling fades away because you haven't grasped it. Similarly, suppose you are going through some sort of a depression, some sort of a unhappiness, you still feel that you don't have the capacity to watch it directly, but you can watch the corresponding feelings happen in the body. Suppose there's a kind of a change in the heart vibration, kind of a tension in the face, you are thrusting your tongue towards the teeth. So likewise, there may be little signs of how you are going through this pain. So if you are able to recognize these various kinds of feelings, now you are not promoting that mental pain, rather you are observing its outcome. You are observing these painful sort of feelings. As a result, since you are not promoting the mental pain, that will disappear, that will go away, and as a result, these painful feelings also calm down. So likewise, you can understand this Vedananupassana can be used in many different ways, and it has many benefits as well. Now in this Sutta, Majjhe Sutta, therefore these venerable monks says, if one practices this completely, that means if one directly know these different types of feelings, they know various facets of feelings, they know each type of feeling, they know the behavior of all these feelings, and they fully understood those types of feelings, not only the physical feelings but also the mental feelings they understood. If they are able to do that, by doing so they are able to completely free from suffering in this very life. Now you can understand it is not a kind of a simple practice. Though it appear like simple, it has the capacity to take you to very profound understanding. So this is the second or the third explanation given by this another Thero regarding the verse uttered by the Buddha. So two extremes or two ends are the painful feeling and the pleasurable feeling. The middle is the neutral feeling, and the seamstress is the craving. So if one is able to overcome craving, without grasping, you can take your attention more towards the middle, that is the neutral feeling. And if you are able to develop wisdom using these neutral feelings, and then you even have the capacity to avoid or being free from these neutral feelings. Now the mind has completely free from all these feelings, and it has its own freedom. It is not associated with any kind of feelings. So mind has its own kind of a what you call as Vupasamasukha, kind of a peace, which is not subjected to any kind of arising and passing away. Rather, it is in a different domain where your mind is free from any of these feelings. It may be, one can say, it is kind of a neutral feeling, but mostly we can say it's kind of peace. So therefore Buddha says, if one is understanding even the middle, and this wise person is able to be free from attaching that, not stick to that middle, then that person he called a great person. So, and that person has transcended the seamstress. That person has transcended the craving. So you can understand, more we promote wisdom, more we demote or get rid of or weaken the craving. So more we practice vipassana, so therefore one may be able to overcome any kind of sorrow, lamentation, despair and all this. So that's why Buddha give kind of a series of benefits of Satipatthana practice. Dukkha domanassanam atthagamaya. So one is able to overcome sorrow, this pain, suffering and any kind of mental pain, despair. Soka pariddavanam samatikkamaya. Any kind of sorrow, lamentation also one can overcome. So that indicates that one is able to maintain a kind of a peaceful mind because of this practice. So with that, actually I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Today actually we have discussed the third alternative solution given by these venerables in this Majjhe Sutta. Maybe we can discuss another solution on tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening.